Welcome, class. Do you guys know the theme of the book? The theme is the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount+.
That's not the theme of the book.
Josh?
Hi, class.
That's Josh Allen.
What Tony meant to say was the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount+.
That's exactly what he just said.
What does this have to do with English lit?
Because the NFL on CBS streaming live on Paramount+ is lit.
Feels good to make a difference, Tony.
I've seen my future. Let me show you yours.
Boom! There it is.
It's a win-win.
Touchdown!
Click, click, boom.
You can't deny the people what they crave.
I like this plan. This is a good plan.
Saturday, September 30th, Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo, and it can't come here any faster. 32 days away, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and history on the line as the biggest star in the sport. Canelo Alvarez defends his 4 168-pound titles in a matchup that will be the first in boxing history between reigning and defending male 4-belt undisputed champions. Welcome into Showtime Sports coverage of the Canelo versus Charlo Undercard press conference. My name is Brian Campbell, and we are here at the Conga Room at LA Live, downtown Los Angeles, and fired up. The only thing better in a boxing calendar year filled with super fights, Canelo versus Charlo being no different than the fight itself. How about a loaded and stacked undercard when we're talking about rising prospects, key contenders, and former champions squaring off, and 3 matchups ahead of Canelo versus Charlo that have the potential for fireworks. Without any further ado, let's meet the 6 fighters that will make up the Canelo-Charlo pay-per-view main card come Saturday, September 30th. And the first of 3 fights to introduce for you in the middleweight division, 10 rounds between ambitious and rising 160-pound fighters coming to us from Compostela, Nayarit, Mexico. With a record of 14-1 with 10 KOs, Armando Resendiz. And standing across from Resendiz, just 20 years old, but he brings a record of 15-0 with 12 KOs from the greater Phoenix area of Whitman, Arizona. A rising southpaw, Elijah Garcia. Garcia versus Resendiz, 10 rounds in the middleweight division. We go to welterweight for our next fight, 12 rounds with the interim WBC title at stake. Coming out first from San Antonio, he goes by the name of El Azteca with a 27-2 record, 18 KOs, Mario Barrios. And standing across from Barrios, the former WBA welterweight champion, a 2008 Olympic bronze medalist. He goes by the moniker of Cincuente El Cuatro Milagros from Cuba, but now fighting out of Miami, Florida, Yordenis Ugas. The interim WBC welterweight title. Barrios versus Ugas. And in our co-feature, September 30th, a 12-round super welterweight special attraction. Let me introduce a former title challenger, a veteran of the division, with a record of 25-2 and 18 KOs, the Hammer, fighting out of Central Florida, Erickson Lubin. And across from Lubin, from Casa Grande, Arizona, 20-0 with 16 KOs, the rising 22-year-old super welterweight, Jesus Ramos Jr. And there you have it, the co-feature, Erickson Lubin versus Jesus Ramos Jr., 12 rounds in the super welterweight division.
All right, guys. Group shot, everybody come forward. Group shot, guys, come forward. Stay, group shot.
Out back for the cameras in the back. And down in front, please. Right here in the front row.
And there you have it, the 6 fighters that make up the Canelo versus Charlo pay-per-view main card, Saturday, September 30th. It's been such an incredible year for boxing, for Showtime pay-per-view, for the PBC. And this event, no different. This Canelo Promotions presentation of a Premier Boxing Champions pay-per-view card. Of course, goes down at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. You can get your tickets right now at AXS.com. Special start time for the pay-per-view on September 30th. Showtime pay-per-view telecast beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And the award-winning pre-fight all-access documentary series for Showtime Sports will debut with Episode 1 on Friday, September 8th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Episode 2 Friday, September 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. And of course, a final episode after the event. Before we hear from the fighters, though, let's bring up a man who played a key part in the creation of this pay-per-view supercard. He's the co-promoter of the event and the president of TGB Promotions, Mr. Tom Brown.
Well, thank you, BC. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. What a night this is going to be. This really is a massive event. Canelo versus Charlo, undisputed versus undisputed. And with a fight of this magnitude, we had to deliver a stacked undercard. These 3 matchups have everything boxing fans can count on and hope for in a pay-per-view event. Each fighter here on the stage today has an opportunity to catapult themselves to the top of their division with a win on September 30th. All these fights have the possibility of being a flat-out war. And every fight up here could easily steal the show on September 30th. This is an event you won't want to miss. This undercard features 3 quality, competitive, and high-stakes fights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. All right, it's time to hear from the fighters. Let me introduce a middleweight who will be a part of the opener, 10 rounds. Armando Resendiz and Martin Bader will handle the translating. Armando, an opening statement. How big of an opportunity is this fight for you, and what are you expecting here, September 30th?
Armando, ¿qué tipo de pelea esperás que sea el 30 de septiembre y qué querés que la gente vea de tu parte?
Bueno, yo espero una pelea fuerte, siempre es lo que hago, esperar peleas fuertes, me preparo fuerte para que la gente espere peleas que les guste, peleas que sean entretenidas para el público.
I expect a tough fight. I prepare in a tough way, and what I hope is that this is a fight that the fans grow to love, and that it's going to be something that they're going to just tune in and be the one that they love to watch.
And standing across from him, let me introduce once again Elijah Garcia for the opening statements about what this fight means at just 20 years old to the arc of your career.
Sorry. Does it work? All right. Yeah. I just want to, give thanks. It's a big blessing to be on this card. I'm not scared to admit I'm nothing without my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He's the one that made it happen. I know September 30th, I'm going to have the toughest fight of my career so far. Armando Resendiz, he comes strong, he comes in shape, and he comes ready to fight. It's a blessing to be on the card, such great card with all these great fighters. And, I'm preparing to be a world champion, and these tough fights are going to prepare me for it.
Well, this middleweight contest, it came together in an interesting way. A big night for both competitors earlier this year, March 4th, Ontario, California. Breakthrough performances on the undercard of Showtime Championship Boxing's triple header featuring Figueroa versus Magsayo. And let me start with you, Elijah. You're going for your third win of this calendar year, but that March 4th victory, a knockout of 16-0 prospect Amilcar Vidal Jr., along with your decision win over Kevin Salgado just a few months, certainly puts your name on the map as a riser. How big has this calendar year been for you to announce yourself to the boxing world?
It's been probably the biggest year of my life. Like you said, I fought Vidal. I had a huge upset. And then I came off a 10-run victory off of a hard fight, Kevin Salgado. Now I'm back on this card, back-to-back pay-per-view events. It's crazy. Snap of a finger, I'm blowing up. But I'm just training hard, preparing for the toughest fight of my career so far.
Now, for Armando, your opponent. He's only been a pro for 3.5 years, just 20 years old. Is this too much too soon for Elijah Garcia against you on September 30th?
Tu oponente ha sido profesional desde hace 3 años y medio, tiene apenas 20 años. ¿Sentís que está afrontando un desafío demasiado grande para él en esta altura de su carrera?
¿Para él?
Claro, exacto. Sí, sentís que vos sos demasiado para él con tu experiencia.
Bueno, pues en realidad no, el boxeo aquí se entrena fuerte y te preparas para pelear con quien sea. Yo me he enfrentado con rivales más grandes que yo, no viejos, pero de buena edad, y realmente no creo que eso importe mucho. En realidad depende mucho de cómo te prepares, y claro que tengo gran experiencia, y bueno, creo que tengo una buena experiencia y voy a tratar de utilizarla arriba del ring.
I do think I have a good amount of experience and that can be on my side, but at the same time, I don't think that age matters that much at all. When I was younger, I fought against older fighters as well. So in a way, I think that more than age itself, it's how you prepare that matters. And I think that both of us prepared in a really strong way.
Well, Armando, as I mentioned, you're coming in with big momentum yourself for March 4th. Former unified 154-pound champion Jarrett Hurd was across from you. And you scored a breakthrough 10th round finish of a decorated fighter. What did you teach the boxing world about who you are that night?
¿Qué le demostraste al mundo del boxeo sobre quién es Armando Resendiz cuando tuviste esa pelea en la que te luciste y pudiste demostrar contra Jarrett Hurd en esos 10 rounds que podías dar ese salto de calidad?
Bueno, principalmente yo creo que demostré las ganas que tengo de llegar a mi objetivo. Tengo propósitos en el boxeo, quiero llegar muy lejos, quiero llegar a ser en las estelares siempre. Tengo grandes sueños y creo que esa noche demostré que tengo ganas de estar aquí.
I showed how hungry I was that night. I showed how capable I am to reach new heights. I have goals in boxing. One of those goals is to become a main event staple. So I feel like that was the first step of the many things I want to accomplish in boxing, and it starts also with this fight on September 30th.
Elijah Garcia, speaking of big accomplishments in short time, you just turned 20 years old, but I've seen you talk about the idea of fighting for and winning your first middleweight title by the age of 21. Is that still the fast-tracked plan you have entering this tough matchup just 32 days from today?
Yeah, 100%. 21 years old, I want to be a world champion, and fighting tough opponents like Armando's was going to get me the experience to be ready when that world title comes. I'm preparing. and I know how hard it's going to be. But this is the way. This is the only way I have to go.
Would it be fair, Elijah, to call this a step-up fight for you against Resendiz?
Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. Armando's coming off a huge win, and he's 24 years old. He's strong, and it's. I guess it's a step up. I don't see why I wouldn't be.
Elijah, we saw you score that breakthrough decision win over Kevin Salgado on the Tank versus Garcia pay-per-view card. You've been getting a lot of attention. How are you able, at age 20, to keep such a present head on your shoulders and not look too far ahead as you continue to climb the ladder?
Just being humble, and keeping my face strong. Just keeping my face strong, being humble, man. I don't want to look ahead. I don't want to take too big of a leap, but I'm just following the direction my training's telling me to go.
Close with you, Armando. This is your third fight with trainer Manny Robles. You've successfully rebounded from the only loss of your career and put together big wins. What is really at stake for you in this fight? How big is this opportunity to break through once more?
Armando, tu tercera pelea ahora con Manny Robles como entrenador, lograste poder recuperarte de lo que fue la única derrota en tu carrera. ¿Qué sentís que hay en juego para vos en esta pelea, en esta cartelera?
Yo con el coach Manny me he acoplado muy bien, hemos preparado muy bien para las carteleras anteriores, para esta nos estamos preparando igual fuerte. Me siento muy contento de la esquina que tengo y espero poder seguir trabajando con ellos.
I'm really glad to be working alongside the people I have in my corner. Coach Manny and I mesh really well, and you're going to see more of the same that you have seen in the last 3 fights. Someone that trained hard and then reflects that tough training inside the ring.
That's the opening fight on our September 30th Showtime pay-per-view card. But up next, the interim WBC welterweight title at stake. Ugas versus Barrios. And for Mario Barrios, we've seen you at the pay-per-view level before. You always seek to fight the best available. This looks no different to me entering this matchup against the former champion.
Yeah, I mean, whenever a fight is brought up to me, there's never a name that I said no to. And it was no different with this fight. Ugas is a tremendous fighter. He's a former champion, and me and him are fighting for the WBC interim. So it's a huge opportunity, and so I was more than happy to take this.
Across from you is the decorated former champion Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis, we haven't seen you since the unification fight against Errol Spence Jr. almost 2 years ago. You fought through a broken orbital bone. You're back. You look great today. People are going to say, hey, age 37, is this still the same Ugas? What do you say to any whispers of critics heading into this title bout once again for you?
Yordenis, peleaste contra Spence, te intentaste sobreponer a un hueso orbital completamente roto, te recuperaste, te ves genial ahora, pero la gente quizás está pensando, a los 37 años, Yordenis Ugas sigue siendo el mismo. ¿Qué tenés que decir cuando escuchas ese tipo de, quizás, de gente que te cuestiona sobre tu edad y el momento en el que estás?
No, saludo a todos. Sí, vengo de una lesión, vengo de una gran pelea. Ahora estamos entrenando, estamos bien, con salud. Muy feliz por regresar a una gran pelea contra Barrios.
The most important thing right now is not what people say. It's the fact that I'm healthy, that I'm happy, that I prepared in a great way for what will be a great fight against Barrios. What people say from the outside doesn't really concern me that much.
Well, people do say stuff. Mario, when you look at this matchup against Ugas, who beat Manny Pacquiao, probably could have gotten the decision against Sean Porter, one of the best welterweights in the world. What version of this great former champion are you expecting September 30th?
I'm expecting the best version. I know he's coming off a loss, and I'm trying to solidify, my mark in this division. So I'm expecting, a really hard fight come September 30th. There's never been a fight that I've seen him in, where he shies away, and I'm also, I have a very similar style. So, this is looking to be a very explosive fight, one that you definitely don't want to miss out on.
When this fight was announced, Mario, that was your words. You told Boxing Scene this fight will be a war, first and foremost, outright. Is that the style you think that gives you the best chance to win against Ugas?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see come fight night. Like I said, I know he's coming with it, and so am I. I'm just excited to be part of this, this card. Excited, to be fighting, against, a fighter like Ugas, especially, for the WBC interim.
Yordenis, you've seen your opponent Barrios against world-class competition, pay-per-view main events against Gervonta Davis, Keith Thurman. What did you learn about him from those fights that is tailoring toward your preparation for September 30th?
You mean how he studied him before his fight? Bueno, ¿qué aprendiste de cómo lo estudiaste a Barrios, de sus peleas previas y de cómo te ayudó eso a prepararte para esta pelea contra él?
No, Barrios es un buen peleador, está luchando contra los mejores, joven, fuerte, former world champion. Estoy motivado por regresar a luchar contra un ex campeón del mundo.
I know that Barrios is a strong fighter, a tough fighter, a former world champion, and it motivates me to be fighting an opponent of his caliber.
Well, Yordenis, I don't have to tell you how red hot this division was. We saw Terrence Crawford's victory over Errol Spence to become undisputed champion. We know about the rising fighters like Jaron Boots Ennis. Outside of the interim WBC title, what is at stake for the winner of this fight, in your opinion?
Esta división de las 147 libras tiene muchas cosas sobresalientes, desde Terrence Crawford siendo campeón indiscutido, el ascenso de Boots Ennis, pero ¿qué hay en juego para Yordenis Ugas en esta pelea?
No, repite la parte final.
¿Qué hay en juego para vos en esta pelea? Para Yordenis Ugas, ¿qué hay en juego?
No, estoy regresando, demostrar que sigo en la élite. Una otra oportunidad con el WBC, esta vez intervino. Pienso que me estoy jugando mucho, pero es lo que me gusta a mí, pelear contra lo mejor que es disponible, y estoy contento con esta pelea.
There's a lot at stake, no doubt about that, but this is what I do. I go out and fight against the best. I have another shot now, this time an interim title with the WBC, so I plan to take full advantage of it.
Mario, when you look at the game of Yordenis Ugas, what has you and Coach Bob Santos working those extra hours in the gym preparing for?
Like I said, I'm expecting, the best version of Ugas. I feel like both of us have a lot to prove, and a victory, puts us, up there, with all of the top welterweights. There's a lot of really good fights to be made, and all of us are fighting, to get, to the top of the division. And I mean, this is exactly what that fight does for us.
Mario, you bounced back from those 2 defeats on the pay-per-view level back in February in your hometown against Giovanni Santiago, scoring an 8th round stoppage. How much has those experiences, those big fights against Tank and Thurman, done to change your strategy at all, to change your approach now as you enter yet another big fight?
And I would always say, I was, learning, on the job, learning, with each fight. And I was able, to take away, a lot, from those 2 defeats. But, I'm still just as hungry as ever. I had a good, comeback fight, earlier February back home in San Antonio. And, I promised, my city that I was going to bring that back a world title. And I did that, a few years back. And now, I have another opportunity, so I'm looking, to take full advantage of it.
Similarly, Yordenis, when you look back at your fight with Errol Spence Jr., what do you take away from that can fuel you for another run back at the title?
¿Qué conclusiones sacás de tu pelea con Spence que te llega a motivar para ser todavía mejor en esta pelea?
No, fue una gran pelea, pude pelear por 3 cinturones, luché bien esa noche, salí lesionado, siento que todavía que estoy en la élite de mi división, de los mejores pesos welter del mundo, y el 30 de septiembre es lo que quiero demostrar.
It was a great fight. I thought I fought well. I ended up being injured, but the conclusion that I took from it is that I can still be an elite fighter. I fought for 3 belts that time, and now I want to keep proving that I'm one of the best welterweights in the world, and that fight was just one more step towards me becoming what I want to be once again.
All right, let me close with this on this matchup. Mario Barrios, the Aztec Warrior, we know you bring it. What is it going to take to beat a technical wizard like Yordenis Ugas come September 30th?
It's gonna take everything. I'm gonna have to use, my boxing ability, my power, my range, and I'm expecting, the best version of Ugas. And like I said, I think it's gonna be a war. It's definitely gonna be an exciting fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yordenis, to close with you, why will you be the one who gets his hand raised in this very key welterweight interim WBC title clash?
¿Por qué será Yordenis Ugas el que termine con su brazo en alzado en esta pelea pero tan significativa para ambos?
Bueno, llevo muchos años peleando contra lo mejor, ganando y perdiendo contra lo mejor del deporte. Pienso que he sido uno de los mejores pesos welter del mundo de los últimos años. Y el 30 de septiembre eso es regresar a otra pelea competitiva, otra pelea emocionante y otra gran actuación.
I promise the fans you're going to see another exciting fight, a true war out there between 2 great fighters, and that this is just another fight for me where I get to fight the best. I have always fought against the best, winning or losing. I've always strived to go forward, and that's what we're going to see on September 30th.
Our co-feature, a 12-round super welterweight special attraction. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out which one of these 3 fights is going to steal the night, from the all-action potential, from the daring to be great of fighters young and old. But in this one, we've got Erickson Lubin, former title challenger. He's got wins over many of the big names across this division, a 10-year pro. Back at it, back in another big fight, Erickson. What's the mindset entering this matchup with Ramos?
Mindset really, hello. The mindset ain't really changed. I still got a chip on my shoulder. I'm going into this fight very hungry. I know. Testing. I'm going into this fight really hungry. I got a young, hungry kid in front of me. But I'm young and hungry as well. I'm still 27 years old. I think people fail to forget that. I still got a chip on my shoulder, and you can expect fireworks on September 30th. I'm looking to win and be in the big fights against, some of the best guys in the division, so I can headline my own pay-per-views.
Well, before we hear from your opponent here, Erickson, what's fueling the chip on your shoulder?
Just, adversity. Facing adversity in my first title challenge with Charlo. That was, that brought me back to, working real hard, and that brought me to 6 fights in a row I won. And then, going through what I went through with Fundora, I was winning that fight, and then, having to, pretty much throwing the towel for that fight was, that fueled me. That fueled me to, go back to the drawing board and work even harder.
We have no shortage of motivation and the dangerous opponent of Jesus Ramos Jr. standing across from you, 22 years old, 20-0. Jesus, you've been knocking on this division's door for a while as a coming attraction. It appears you're now here. When you saw the paper, the contract, Lubin's name on it, what made you sign that dotted line?
I was excited, when I heard we were gonna fight Lubin. I respect him. He lost to Charlo early in his career, and he basically built himself back up. Like he said, he got six wins, and that loss to Fundora was tough. He's a warrior, and that's exciting, man. Those type of fights are exciting for me. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to prove that I'm one of the best, and to do that, I got to beat the best in the division. So it was an exciting moment and an exciting card as well.
Jesus, we saw you back in March, Benavides Plant pay-per-view, a big opportunity against unbeaten Joey Spencer, and you delivered with the knockout finish. When you look back on that night, what are you most proud of? What statement did you send?
You know, I feel like people didn't really know what level I was on. You know, they thought it was a 50-50 fight with Joey Spencer, and I didn't feel like it was. I just had to go out there and show it. You know, I had to prove that I was on a different level and that I deserved to be on a stage like this as well.
Well, Jesus, you've also scored big victory over another name who's making news and noise in this division in Brian Mendoza. So if you add Erickson Lubin to that growing ledger of 20 wins in as many fights, what will they be saying about you and where you belong here in the title picture at 154 pounds?
Yeah, man, you know, hopefully at the top. I feel like I have great names on my resume, and but that's not up to me. You know, whenever I get the world shot, it's not up to me. I just have to keep proving myself. I just got to keep winning. I got to keep beating these guys and keep learning, keep growing as a fighter. That's the main thing, you know. Fighting with Lubin, I'm going to take a lot from this fight. You know, after this fight, I'm gonna have a lot more experience. I'm gonna be a different boxer, you know, after this fight, and I think that's what matters the most. Just growing, be ready for that title shot when it comes.
Erickson, you're obviously confident. You have much reason to be, but how good is Jesus Ramos? What do you have to be leery of when you touch paths with him in the ring?
He's a solid fighter. He's a real solid fighter. I watched the fight with Joey Spencer. I thought he looked good in that fight. But truth be told, I'm not Joey Spencer. You know, I'm one of those top guys in the division. You know, I'm the cream of the crop, and I'm just here to prove myself. You know, I want the toughest test every time out, and you know, I've asked for this fight even before he fought Joey Spencer. So, you know, we have it here. It's on a big platform, and both of us are hungry. So it's gonna be fireworks September 30th.
Erickson, you shared the ring with so many big names. You've co-authored fights of the year. You scored victories over former world champions and title contenders. What does a win over Jesus Ramos do for you?
It just solidifies that I belong at the top, and I need a title shot. You know, the winner, I believe, gets a big fight. Whether it's with Charlo, whether it's with Errol Spence, whether it's with, you know, Fundora again, whether it's with Crawford. I think the winner of this fight lands a big fight.
Erickson, you, after co-authoring that fight of the year against Fundora, you bounced back nicely. 5th round TKO in June over Luis Arias. There seemed to be this, like you mentioned, chip on your shoulder that you were out to prove something. How do you critique your performance that evening in that comeback fight from the loss?
It was a good comeback fight. You know, I kind of knew I was going to go in there, you know, with the way we train. I knew I was going to go in there and just, you know, dominate. But, you know, that was 8 weeks ago. And I'm just happy that we got a few weeks to go with this one. And I'm looking to come back with another statement win.
Jesus, you hear the wanting in Erickson's words to come back and be aggressive and prove a point. We have seen him come up short at the highest level before, though. Do you think your power can bother Erickson Lubin and you can shut him down early? No need for the judges September 30th.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I have a decent power, but I'm not relying on my power. You know, I got skills too, and I'm gonna show that September 30th. You know, I can box, and I'm a very intelligent fighter in the ring, and I think all that's gonna come out September 30th with a worthy opponent like Lubin is.
Erickson, I saw your face. I saw some colorful reaction there. What's on your mind?
I was just the question you asked kind of startled me a little bit. You know, he's a tough guy. He's a tough opponent. I'm not here trying to downplay him or nothing. He's a great fighter, you know, but when I was 22 years old, I took a step up in competition against a 27-year-old, and Charlo, and I fell short. And I feel like history repeats itself, just in my favor.
Jesus, do you have a response to that history lesson?
Well, I mean, I'm not Lubin, and I don't think he's Charlo, so I think it's not the same, and I don't think history will repeat itself September 30th.
Got a lot of talk about the idea of the all-action potential of this card. Erickson, is it better for you that this fight is another fight of the year, another mano-a-mano type war? What type of style matchup are you expecting in this one?
I mean, I'm not really a fan of the fight of the year type fights, because, you know, that obviously means that it's a war, and I'm into like one-sided ass whooping, so I prefer that. I prefer to, you know, go in there and just be my best and come out with the victory untouched.
How about you, Jesus? Is this more of the boxer, Jesus Ramos, in the style matchup against Erickson Lubin? Or are we going to see the dog come out?
Whatever I have to do, you know, I have to win. But I'm here to dominate as well. You know, I don't want a 50-50 fight. I want to dominate. I want to make a statement. And in order to do that, I can't go 50-50 with Lubin. I got to dominate, and that's the plan.
Erickson, do you feel like you're overlooked in this division sometimes?
Sometimes, but, you know, it's boxing, and I just got to keep proving myself.
3 fights, lots of potential. Titles at stake, fights of the night, fights of the year. Who knows which way it goes? All in support, of course, of Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo, undisputed versus undisputed on Saturday, September 30th. Canelo Promotions presentation of a Premier Boxing Champions pay-per-view live on Showtime pay-per-view. Our 6 fighters here on the pay-per-view main card, ready to bring the thunder. Can we face off one more time ahead of the big one, come 32 days away? Begin with Jesus Ramos Jr., Erickson Lubin, 12 rounds. The super welterweight division, a special attraction. The interim WBC welterweight title at stake. Barrios, Yordenis Ugas. And the opening bout for 4-fight pay-per-view card. 10 rounds in the middleweight division. Armando Resendiz, Elijah Garcia. One final reminder, tickets still available, AXS.com for September 30th. Showtime pay-per-view telecast beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. There are your 6 fighters making up the pay-per-view main card. We'll see you Saturday, September 30th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It's It's Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo. My name is Brian Campbell. Thank you very much. Enjoy the fights.
Welcome, class. Do you guys know the theme of the book? The theme is the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
That's not the theme of the book.
Josh?
Hi, class.
That's Josh Allen.
What Tony meant to say was the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
That's exactly what he just said.
What does this have to do with English lit?
Because the NFL on CBS streaming live on Paramount Plus is lit.
Feels good to make a difference, Tony.
I've seen my future. Let me show you yours.
Boom. And there it is.
It's a win-win.
Touchdown!